Oh, God. Okay.
Pre-pod. I'm not bringing them up as actual.
It's not like we're live streaming.
No.
Are we?
Oh, God.
Brian's going to die.
We can never
Brian
go,
is
we
gonna
can
die.
never
He's
go
gonna die. His
public.
head's
We
going to
can never go
explode.
public.
But do you want to go public and sell out like Elysian?
Welcome to another episode of the American Beer Review Podcast.
Good times with good friends requires good beer. Lucky for us, we know how to pick all three.
We're a group of friends who grew up in the Pacific Northwest, giving us a jump start on our craft beer journey.
Join us today while Brian,
Alec,
And Chad.
review some beer, talk about beer topics, and whatever else comes up. We invite you to pour yourself a drink and hang out with us.
yeah, actually, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
AB
mean-
InBev, give us $1 billion. We'll say whatever you want.
I
Daddy.
would settle for 30,000.
I mean, I'd
'cause then-
like a little more, but yeah, like,
Yeah,
what
but then
define what, okay. Talk about selling out. So whatever thing you've created, you're going to sell out for an X amount of money. Define what it means to sell out. Does it mean
Lose control.
lose control?
Somebody else is going to do whatever they want with it.
Okay. And so we're
My
saying
hands are
it's
clean. I'm out.
And so we're saying it's this podcast in theory that we're gonna like.
Yeah.
The discourse is fettered. We aren't allowed to.
Well, I mean, for $1 million, I will talk about My Little Pony
But
for an hour.
oh, I mean, this
Wait,
podcast.
how much
at
money
this
would
point,
it take
like,
you to become a mouthpiece for AB InBev?
Oh,
And
less
they would hand you a script and go, "This is all you can talk about. You cannot go off the
a
script."
case of beer on the table every time I show up here.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't. I mean, to talk on here, but I can go drink as much craft beer as I want outside of here. Oh,
But you're just a mouthpiece for their craft beer
oh,
division.
I probably
Elysian is the best thing I've ever had.
Give me beer every podcast and like a small chunk of change.
Couple bucks. Yeah.
But we
Small
still
chunk of
have,
change.
but you still have to play the podcast as, oh, we only review craft beer, and we just happen to only review AB InBev's craft brew.
Yeah, I could do it.
Portfolio.
Pay off my student loans and maybe like give me like a little bit more of
Right.
my like a little bit for a down payment on a new house and new beer, and I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
See, that's how easy it is. That's why they do it.
yeah. I mean, that's why like
I never hold the brewers, the owners,
No.
the craft guys accountable for it. Like, I get it, man. I would do the exact same thing
I think I used to.
until
like,
you started dealing
Yeah.
with bills and
but
responsibilities.
it's also like it's like people who claim that their favorite band sold out because they got big, and it's like, hey man, do you remember when you told all your friends about this amazing band and you loved it? And then they got fans of it, and then they did the same thing. And now you're pissed that you told people about this band, and the band was like, hey, we'd like to, I don't know,
make
not-
some money.
not ride in an econo line for our
Yeah.
like tour, and instead we get to fly around in a I almost said spaceship, in a freaking airplane. But like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're pissed that they quote unquote sold out? Like, so I never held it against the bands, but like for breweries, I like there was a little bit, and I think it's because like,
Because you're already making money.
well, and it's just
Well,
like this idea of independence.
in an
like,
ideal world where like your favorite little brewery is making tons of money, everyone
Yeah.
who works there has a great living wage. They're not want for anything,
yeah,
and they just decide, well, I want to be a millionaire now.
yeah,
Is that the
it could be, but like, who was it? New Belgium. They became employee owned,
Okay.
and within months, the company sold because the employees became the owners of the company, and basically somebody was like,
What if?
hey, we'll pay you a ton of money for your company. And the employees were like,
Yeah.
done.
Absolutely.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Starter beers today's. Boys, I have Montucky Cold Snacks. We talked about we did not talk about this on the pod.
No,
this
we
came
texted
up in
about
a group text.
somebody
because
made a
of
funny
the holiday
shirt.
sweaters.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the original one that I saw? Was it Bush?
I thought this was the first one that
I
came
thought it
out.
was
No,
like
and-
this is the one.
It was the Bush.
This is the one that Cam. Yes, this is the one that Cam replied to with the Montucky Cold Snacks, I think. And I had mentioned that I'd never had one before.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
it was
they're
the
so good.
Bush was the original.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them. I mean,
Bunch of holiday
Well-
sweaters.
from last episode, Iron Horse
Yep.
has holiday sweaters
Yep.
of them.
Ooh.
I was really close to buying one.
Yeah.
It was hard to justify a little bit because it was like, I don't know-
$8 or something.
yes, and I'm sure like supporting a local brewery. I already own a lot of Iron Horse clothes and beer and different things, but like I really thought about it, but I was trying to think of like I'm just not in a place where like I have 2 holiday like haha shirts. I literally wear each of them like one time a year.
Yeah, I don't need more novelty shirts. That I
Yeah,
wear.
so like I just don't know where I'd be wearing a beer holiday sweater.
outside of like the one.
Yeah,
outside of your own man cave.
It literally would have to be like, oh,
Even-
it's late November, early December, and I'm like going to a brewery.
And you're not
On
under
a
the
Saturday.
age of 24.
Because I have a novelty, whatever, Deer's drinking beer, blazer.
You do?
Yeah, it's a full suit, but I'll usually only just wear the jacket.
That's probably a good call. That's probably
But it's one time a year, and I've had the same one for 5 years now.
oh
Like,
yeah.
I don't need. I
And
don't
until
need multiple.
and as long as it continues to fit, you will still
Yeah.
bring that thing out every year.
Yeah. So Montucky Cold Snacks, been around for a while. I brought it because it came up in our text chat. This
Mhm.
is actually Cam, or the captain's go-to non-Bud Light beer.
I didn't know he drank anything besides that.
Correct. So this is his like go-to non Bud Light, and tying into previous pods, it's technically kind of a craft lager.
Really?
So it's a lager, and it's brewed in-house as far as I can tell. So they're based out of Bozeman. Their brewery's in Wisconsin, so I don't know if they contract brew to get it done. But I couldn't find them any connections to a macro at all.
Mm.
So it is a lager with no rice or corn syrup, so it's a straight malt lager, 4.1%. And then the cool thing is, or interesting thing is, they price it at like a PBR
Mm.
Bush Light
Yeah.
level. So it is,
It's in the trenches doing the fight in the
it's,
beer case.
it's in there. They're not pricing it as a craft beer. They're pricing it at working man style beer.
All right. When you're done, I got a couple of notes that I've come across here.
No, go ahead. So might be harder to find, but we've only seen it the last year or two up here. And when I last checked distribution, they're in Northwest, so Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Northern California. They just got into Colorado, and then obviously Montana, where they're based in, and then I'm assuming Wisconsin, which is where it's brewed. But
All right. So number one, I'm opening this can. I still have not tasted this.
Okay.
I have not had one before, to my knowledge. I got a little bit of like my heart skipped a beat for a second here as I saw that it said 8% on it.
oh no, 8% back to charity.
Yes. And then
because it warmed your heart.
Yeah. And then going back to some nerdier things, I have an app that tells me whether beer is what they say, craft or crap.
Mm-hmm.
Montucky Cold Snacks does not pass the craft test.
Uh-oh.
So
But I don't know what that means because it only tells me that it's owned by Melanie Brewing Company. But I've never heard of them before.
Melanie Brewing Company.
Yeah,
So
I
when I
don't
was
know
looking into
anything
it,
about it.
I couldn't find any larger ownership group than like the 2 or 3 dudes who started it.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, when they mean owned, is it just like is it gosh, I can't think of the word for it, but like where you contract, like, is it a contract brew?
So it could
like,
be. It could be.
and
'cause
maybe
it's-
that's what they're.
They are. It says on the side of the can, and that's where I was trying to dig in. It is brewed and bottled by Montucky Cold Snacks, La Crosse, Wisconsin. for Montucky
Which is
Cold
where-
Snacks, Bozeman.
Melanie Brewing is apparently out of.
So yeah, I figured they were probably contract brew,
Yeah.
but they're going after that light beer space.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people talk about it before. I don't know how much, like, again, I haven't done research. I don't know how much the people in Montana are like, yeah, this is our main beer. But I know two people from Montana, and I've never heard them talk about this beer.
It's a 2012, so they've been around for a little bit. It's the unofficial beer of Montana. The official unofficial beer of Montana. Says the can.
We talked about this on the previous episode. I think these guys benefited greatly from that PBR renaissance.
Mm.
Yeah.
As kind of like we were saying, the local niche beers, they just stay in your pocket, do what you do, and this is kind of got dirt along because I remember mid 20-teens college age folks that I knew, this all of a sudden became a big deal. This started coming on as a Busch Light, I'm 22 years old. I don't drink Busch Light anymore. I'm gonna have a cold snack.
And that's exactly where my brother, or the captain, comes in. Is going, well, you're not just having a Bud Light. You're drinking something fancy. It's the exact same price. It's the exact same beer.
He thinks this is fancy.
No. But you could walk in.
You walk in with this in a room full of Bud
and
Light
you're not
cans.
getting called out.
Yeah,
for
that's true.
Drinking a Busch Light.
So, as I dig into it, it sounds like they're coming up under something called City Brewing. And basically, City Brewing has contracts for a ton of things. Everything from Monster Energy to Zima. Angry Orchard is in here.
The proto-seltzer.
Yeah, like Smirnoff.
I'm surprised they haven't drugged
Zima.
that corpse out.
Right?
Yeah, so there's a
Reanimated it.
ton of those, but Montucky Cold Snacks is in there. So I don't know, but that's also the thing.
That's
like,
beside the point.
I don't think I'd ever have thought to look up Montucky as a craft or not. But I also realize that I'm probably slightly more on the like nerdy side of those things. But I also, when it comes to like lager type beer, I kind of give more of a pass.
So that was my other one. Is this the segue into craft lager? I've been calling it for years.
Oh my gosh, no!
Since 2016,
no,
we've been calling it.
Montucky Cold Snack is not the segue to craft.
It's a lager,
Yeah.
and it's technically a craft lager. It's not what I was thinking.
No.
I thought we were going to go a little bit more along the lines of our pumpkin spice lager or something along that era, but it is technically a craft beer, and it is technically, legitimately
depends
a
on who
lager.
you're asking. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think this is what you're talking about. You need, for it to be the age of the craft lager, you need like the standards to be heavily focused into specific types of lagers. And by the standards, I'm talking like for Seattle area, like you would need like there to be this renaissance of crafts under like Rubens Brewing or like Fremont Brewing. Like they all have their like Pilsners or these different things. But for it to be this like renaissance of craft lager types of things, you would need to see them like, are they making like a constant like a Czech dark lager and this other like a Pilsner and this style of like things. And some of them do it when it comes to like we just left fresh hop season, and so you're getting people who are doing what some people call the Italian Pilsner or a fresh hop Pilsner that's a light with a little bit more like that's it, that part. So maybe that's as closest you're gonna get, I think, to this forever dreamed return of it. But the big problem for me is you're never gonna get the cams on board with this because it's expensive to make that for a craft. Like, to make it the same price point as apparently a Montucky or a Busch Light or those types of things, the craft brewers just cannot compete at that price point.
But maybe that's what the split is they've obviously found a niche, and it's not a Busch Light,
Yeah.
it's not a Bud Light.
Yeah.
it's something a little bit different, but it's at that same price point. It's actually cheaper than a Bud Light. And it's attracting kind of a customer who wants something a little bit different.
How available did you say this was? Like easily found?
Yeah, no, I got this at just a convenience store.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I think both my grocery stores have it.
yeah, and it's nationwide. Nationwide, probably not. But
Here's the question. It's at your grocery store. Which section is it in?
It's right next to the Busch Light.
yep.
It's not in the craft beer section.
No.
Because it's not craft beer.
But how is it not?
Well, according to my singular app
But,
that told me.
Okay, but my craft beer section, it's all the fancy flavors.
What do you mean by fancy
I
flavors?
this is in the aisle with, this is beer.
Right,
This
and I
tastes
think,
like
and
beer.
that's they probably
This
chose like they're choosing to put themselves probably
They position
not
themselves
in,
and
Yeah.
admittedly on their website they go like we are positioning ourselves as a PBR
yeah.
and price point and even cheaper
Yeah.
and whatever. So they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that this is less craft than an Elysian.
Oh, but we talked about it last time. They're okay. I guess it's the definition of craft. We broke down the definition of independent. They're not independent, but are they still craft? Yeah.
Elysian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on like. Yes, Elysian is still craft beer because they're making kind of funky different
Well, I
things
think it's
and
the
styles.
stigma against
Yeah.
the lager.
Yeah.
It's going, lagers can't be craft.
Well, and
I think
yeah,
it's
being a lager
fla-
only company.
I think it's a
Yeah.
flavor thing.
They have this.
Because lager, it's got a little hops, it's got a little flavor, but that's what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're getting into the craft brew space or you're a home brewer, I mean, what did we do when we homebrewed? Like, we started basic, but then after that, it's like, oh, yeah, we did basic one, but now it's... No.
Let's get exotic.
Now we're at 3 to 5 hop
variants.
and variants. We're throwing...
Yeah, we didn't
different
use a
little-
ton of education for that, though.
I mean,
No.
No, it's... People need beer. And if you want to be a craft guy and just make beer, I think that it would be fantastic. But AB InBev is not going to come by you unless you got some stuff that are blowing people's tits off,
Mhm.
like Elysian. Like that's what sells because it's different,
Yeah.
it's new and exciting. You can do weird marketing campaigns. Now that the Netflix ad-supported tier,
Yeah,
it can
put an
start
article about
ripping,
that, yeah.
beer ads. Imagine what you're going to start, and because like my Netflix, it knows what my age is.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, everyone 21 and over is going to start
Well,
getting
it knows-
streaming beer
wait, it
commercials.
knows-
Am I
what
going
your
to start getting commercials on my Netflix?
Imagine,
If you sign up for the Netflix tier, yeah. And not only does it know what your age is, but it knows where you live. So
it
we
knows
can
what's in
target.
stock. Yeah.
Yep.
But imagine, kind of getting away from where we were, but imagine like that craft brew, like the attitude, like we're new against the grain. Imagine the weird streaming commercials you're going to start getting for beer. Like what we were talking about, like the Rainier commercials from the 80s.
Mhm.
Are we going to hit a new renaissance of just some really weird shit happening in beer commercials? Because
Dude, I hope so.
it's just on
Mhm.
streaming. Somebody with an iPhone and a laptop nowadays, you can cut together a commercial. Imagine all these little local craft breweries. If you can buy super targeted ads,
Yeah.
like all the folks down in Tacoma.
Yeah.
Imagine they just start pelting all of us within a 50-mile radius.
Right.
When's the last time you saw a local-ish beer commercial? I mean, have there been any?
Rainier. Rainier is the last commercial on TV that I remember seeing for a local. Like, it was Henry Weinhardt's, Rainier,
Yeah.
and then Widmer, but it wasn't for Hev. It was like this Widmer Brothers Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
It was this,
Yeah, there's
But
probably been
the-
a couple of Woodward, which I also looked up.
but only because I watched so much Mariners baseball growing up.
Yeah, they're not listed as craft either anymore. Like,
Because they got bought out by one of the conglomerates.
But But that's local beer. We're just talking
Yeah.
about local beer to us.
Yeah.
I've never seen an Elysian.
Yeah, let's bring back.
I've seen one Elysian, and it was on YouTube like 2 months ago.
I think we need to bring back beer commercials, like not the big, like I'm talking.
They've gotten rid of them the same way they did.
I'm
cigarette
talking
commercials.
non-Bud Light, non-Miller. Like, let's
I just
bring
don't.
it back.
You're not going to see it on network TV. You'll see it on streaming where
Mhm.
you can age verify.
Yeah, and that's
Because
they've
you
got-
shouldn't. You can't make beer fun for kids.
Yep.
Like we remember, we don't remember, but we remember beer commercials from the 80s because
Yep.
they're fun and goofy when we were 8
Shoot,
years old.
I remember cigarette commercials.
Like that cartoon camel
Right.
with the fanny pack. Man,
Mhm.
how cool is that, kids?
So
But
cool.
look
I
how
got
far we've
addicted to
progressed as a
cigarettes.
society now.
Yeah.
All right, so this segues a little bit into my beer thought of the week. So homebrewing. I'm positive that almost every single master brewer for any craft beer started as a home brewer. Jim Cook famously started as a home brewer and has supported it. I mean, to his financial detriment. I mean, buying hops and stuff so that he could provide them to the homebrewing
yeah.
community. Almost all of them started at a home brewing level and have grown into either craft brews or whatever. But almost everyone I talk to about home brewing that isn't currently a brewer, quote unquote, used to homebrew. And we spent a good, 5 years
Mm-hmm.
brewing consistent. At one point, we were brewing every other weekend.
Yeah.
And we are now falling into that category of, do you homebrew? Well, we, quote unquote, used to homebrew. And what is that hurdle from, I used to homebrew to, no, I have a brewery?
How do you achieve that critical mass
Or,
to get you over the hump?
or what is the tripping points that, and we can speak from personal experience, what are the tripping points of going, I just not ready for that next push?
The thing. Some of it, yes. I would say probably predominantly most of the brewers have some home brewing experience in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point, you kind of want to figure out what you can do with it. Like we live in a place with a lot of access to good beer.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stories that I've heard for some people where they go into home brewing is because they don't have the access to it.
Right.
So they can make those beers. We have a lot of access to really good beer, and there really isn't a like, oh, we need to homebrew to get this type of beer.
Right.
It is not cost effective for us to homebrew our beer instead of buying good craft beer. For us, and like why we're the used to brew people, it's because of our hodgepodge setup, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That it became like it is not time effective in doing it. Well, and we did it to ourselves. Like we were doing like a lake day while brewing.
We were multitasking.
Yeah, and doing these things. But so that it's a time thing and a money, because if I had $1,500 to $2,000 to invest in one of those kind of ready to go
Setups.
brew
Into
setups.
a herb system or something.
Yeah, where I have the setup where I don't have to hodgepodge and like, because like where we're at right now with our setup, I mean, it's been probably coming up on 1.5 years since we last brewed.
Yeah, and
Something
it
like
was
that. We brewed a couple of times.
and it was like a year before we did that.
Yeah, it was like, so when I know I was bottling right before or after my son was born,
Right.
almost 3.5 years ago,
We
was
brewed
the last like main time we brewed.
Yep.
And then we've brewed like
Once.
one or two times
Yeah.
since then. And I think it's because of the hodgepodge of the setup of it, because it's like, even if we can get through the brewing process, then it was like, we tried to bottle for a while and that didn't go well. We tried to like keg for a while and this like,
and then we started having little itty bitty problems with the kegs.
yeah. And so we like, and for the betterment of it, like we kept it cheap and like did what we could with the cheapish. I mean, I don't think any unless you're doing the like on your stove,
Oh,
like a
right.
1 gallon
Yeah.
setup type of thing. Like none of it's that cheap. I mean, you're buying a $300 fermenter, or you're buying like those $150 like kettle.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the thing. Like if I could save up and have money to do a setup where I could go, other than the cleaning, I could go out to my garage and have,
Everything set up.
yeah. And I mean, I've looked at, especially to have it in my garage and to have like an electric system, it'd be a game changer to be able to just be set up in the garage, have it all there, run the different things, feeds it across. But you're talking, I mean, $2,000 to $3,000 of
Yeah.
equipment to do that, and then probably either like a
And then
$400 or $500 kegerator to make sure that I actually have the right pressures, the right systems, the draft lines, and all that stuff to make sure that I'm doing it. So I think that's part of like where we fell off from it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's because we went bigger. Like if we'd have just stayed with a cooking on the stove, even though
Right.
our wives would have lost their mind
Yeah.
how many times we've had to scrape the stove or do those things, like
I,
that might have been a bit of a
I
difference.
don't think
in
you
it.
want. I think you just keep it at the propane burner.
See, but
I would never do. I would never do it in the kitchen again.
I wouldn't
no,
again.
I wouldn't either. Yeah.
But the
We did a
propane
few.
burner, we live in a place where it's too cold to stand outside all winter and do it. Like, and it's not even that cold, like here compared to other places.
Yeah.
But like, that's why I think like the game changers for me in getting back to doing it more consistently would be that setup where I'm not having to hodgepodge a tiered thing
Mm-hmm.
to create those levels for transfers, where I have the electricity to do it, where it's in the garage. I'm not having to worry about like, you know, fuming myself to death because I'm trying to stay warm inside or something like that. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, I agree that like, I think the brewers though, especially the ones, I mean, there's how many people homebrew that never go professional, and they do it for. There are a lot of people who do it for years and years and years of
Right.
just
I
they just homebrew.
I worked with a guy. He said he homebrewed one day. I was like, oh yeah, I had homebrewed too. He's like, oh here, we'll swap growlers. I gave him one of mine, like a basic ale.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. He gives me like this. Oh, I've brewed this one for 20 years. Like
Right.
what?
Yeah.
And it was like I could have poured this. You could have poured this at a tap room somewhere and told
Mhm.
me it was like, why don't you sell this?
Well,
He's just like, dude, I just like making the beer.
Yeah.
I make it for myself and my family. I don't need to.
Yeah.
we never got to.
How many of those people just brewing just amazing, earth-shattering beers are never going to be discovered
Could be.
because
Most of them.
they're smart enough to go, no, this is really good. I want to keep it for myself. Or
Do you also
I
understand?
don't want the added stress of now all of a sudden just worrying about making a beer for myself.
Right.
Well, now I have to make a beer where all of a sudden I'm going to send it out into the world, and there are going to be people who don't like it or want me to change it or
I
do
think
stuff like that.
Even bigger than that, that guy it'll cost him more money than just going and buying it on his own. But what's the next level? He either has to go and convince some brewery that he should be the brewer, or he has to open his own brewery.
Or he just quits his job so he can brew the beer.
Yeah, but
Year-round.
at
But now
what
you gotta
yeah.
you gotta sell it to.
yes, and at a certain cost, and like I think it's a big game changer there.
Because I think
go
we
from those.
had a couple good beers.
We had a couple of good beers, and if we sat down and focused on them, but the issue was, I don't know about you guys, but I was at a point in my career, it's like,
I don't have time to focus
there's
on
only
it, yeah.
so much more time I could put into worrying about refining the beer or getting the equipment set up in a way so we didn't have to unpack it and repack it every time we needed to use it.
That was it for me. Is that we couldn't hit consistent efficiencies.
So mine similar was we could make good beer and it wasn't about the cost of the ingredients,
Mhm.
but it was the time investment that went into
To
it.
then
and,
find out that it
and
was
then when you have to pour it down the drain.
Mhm.
And it was the second or third one where we went, this just didn't hit.
Yeah.
Like we could make it work, but it's at a 2.5% ABV right
Oh,
now. We
eh.
can't turn it into anything and make it drinkable.
And
So we're just dumping it. And it's not the $100-something that it costs to
Right.
make the 5 gallons. It was the
5
we
weeks.
spent 8 hours on it
At least on the day.
on the day, and then cleaning, and then it sat there and storing
the
it,
transfer
and the
and the-
transfer and all of that.
Yeah.
That was just ugh.
And the way we were set up, it was linear. It was, we've got one fermenter, so we can only be fermenting one at a time. So if you do have a screw up, all of a sudden now there's a 4-week window.
Yeah.
We don't have anything being available for us to try the beer, adjust the recipe, do all the things we needed to do. But that came down to equipment again. But there was no way we were going to set up a system where we could have 3 beers ripping at the same time. There was just no way.
No.
But that's what the step would be.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if originally I was just like, cool, I can make beer.
Right.
And that was, I had craft beer, but really making the beer and then sitting down and drinking the 5 gallons of beer.
Right.
That wasn't a Keystone Light or a Bud Light. Like, I think the very first beer I made was just like a bog standard winter ale. Super easy, slam dunk, can't screw it up. I didn't screw it up. Drank 5 gallons of it.
In one night.
It damn near. Like, invited the neighbor came over, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, we're just having some of this homebrew beer, pouring it out of a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to, because for some reason it fermented fast enough. It gave enough carbonation. We were just drinking it right off the rip.
Nice.
Would not recommend, but
Yeah.
it worked. Nobody died and I got really drunk, but
That's the thing is I think there becomes a point where like the people who can do it with the makeshift, like than us and consistently do it, like that's amazing. But like you have to be committed. Like the stories I've heard of people, it's like we talk about like squeezing it into a day and doing stuff, but there's people who are like, they're getting home from work and starting a brew and doing it till midnight, 1 in the morning to then, and it's just like, I don't have that. I love doing it and I enjoyed it. But man, I try to find places where I can make some simplicity in my life, and trying to find the perfect tiered system out of the hodgepodge of stuff, and not, our burner gets a little hot in this part, so we got to watch the sticky. Like, it's just, it became too much of a hassle. And the sad thing is, I think that for us, it's like, it would have taken a few $1,000 probably.
Yeah.
To just get a system that's functional and just kind of.
Well, and that's where it came for me. It was a cool hangout type deal. It was an excuse to get together, brought the kids, whatever, and it turned it into like a boat day, a brew day, and then it got to be such a process where
now it's dominating the day.
Now we're just brewing beer, and it became less fun.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, and that's why, like, I mean.
So that's fine. You put on all that effort.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, when you go,
we don't actually have beer to show for it.
This is absolute crap.
Yeah.
And we have to dump it. We could have just gone water skiing.
I think that's the thing too, is what maybe some homebrewers realize is like to go from just being able to brew on your own schedule and do stuff, even if you're doing it all the time. That's very different than like. You're doing that 4 or 5 days in a row, or you're doing back-to-back batches because you need X amount of beer to fill X amount of orders and to do it. So like the more
you do not brew this beer today, you're shutting down.
Yeah.
Like you have to brew this beer.
I would love to get back to it and to find some time and money to have that set up and to be able to kind of go out and do it. But I think one of the main things is that I've thought if I actually want to open that brewery and to do it, man, I probably just need to create a design of a brewery, an idea and process, and just find a brewer. Mm-hmm. Like, just find somebody who is that
do it for you?
Not so insane, and then basically I'm just be the assistant brewer and like help out when I can and do the stuff to like, hey, can we try this type? Can we do this? Like, more mold the company than mold the beer type of
Right.
thing. So, oh,
All right. Topic done. We have a beer to review as part of the American Beer Review podcast. So,
is that what we're doing?
yeah,
Naturally.
right. So, Thor, you want to tell us about this beer as I pour up a couple glasses for us?
So we got another offering from Belching Beaver. I picked them up at the same time, save some shipping, baby. We got their Tavern Hef, pouring out of a 16-ouncer today.
I have not had this one, so
So this is 5.5% ABV.
sounds about right for right there. I think actually it's kind of funny. One of the last beers that we really tried to try and do that I was trying to kind of like expand our abilities on was trying to do some kind of like Weiss beer type of something. Like I can't remember. I mean, it's been years, but I can't remember exactly what we were trying to do with it. Some variation, but that was one of the last ones that we did try to do.
So I see on the can they're indicating you're going to get some notes of banana, vanilla, and clove.
I was going to say, that smelling it, it's got a little bit of like a floral, almost fruity
Yeah.
smell to it.
So this is definitely going into the German style of the Hef, opposed to the American, which we saw in the Widmer Hef.
When I think the can is trying to tell you that, it's got the like blue and white flag, that kind of like Oktoberfesty like type. It's not heavy in the banana, like it's not overly.
This is a thick Hohengarten.
You have some the different styles that you can do with it. That when you're playing with that type of yeast, you can go kind of more banana-y. You can go a little more clovey, just depending on which way you're kind of deciding to go with it. I will say Hef is probably one of the ones I order the least when I'm at breweries.
I have to.
Nowadays, I was heavy into them, call it 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a gateway, like for a lot of people.
It's a
those,
gateway,
like,
throw a lemon in it.
Mhm.
And this one, actually, as much as I say don't fruit my beer,
you
a
would.
little bit of a lemon or
I throw
orange in this
I
would.
got this is not the full orange, but just some orange peel, like a martini.
Yep.
Yeah, just to give you a little bit, but
I mean, I absolutely
overall,
wouldn't, but
oh,
I wouldn't probably do. I don't know, with it being this German style of stuff, man. Well, I mean, a lot of it, like, I think you might get in trouble if you put some fruit in it if you go to Germany, based on
probably.
German purity laws. Does talk about a little bit of vanilla. I think that's like
There's a little bit. There's a little bit of that.
I get it in the middle before the finish,
yeah.
but super clean, super neat, super tight.
Well, and complete opposite spectrum. I mean, we're doing two Belching Beaver beer reviews
right.
back to back, but completely opposite beers. The peanut butter stout versus this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
This is
I wouldn't correlate them at all.
No, I mean, but that shows the depth of a brewery, that they're getting some better like variations of things.
But if you told me this was a German import,
oh, I believe you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very European. I love it. This would be an everyday fridge if I wasn't already seasonal on Hefs. So this definitely be a. I think I would like this more in the spring, especially with the orange edition.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not gonna be drinking this every day when it's 30 degrees outside.
No.
This would be a late, kind of a mid fall.
I don't put this in my
spring.
beer fridge or in my main fridge, but this definitely has a spot in my beer fridge.
Yeah.
I think it's one to have for people who like it's a good version of it, so that for those people who like that style of beer, I think for me, yeah, it's only once or twice a year where I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what I'm looking for. That's gonna hit the spot. I'm not really, and I think it's nothing. It is not anything against the beer. It's more just my own personal
preference.
Yeah, like I said, I try, if I'm doing a flight somewhere, I try to pick one thing that's outside of what I would normally get. So maybe that's where the hef kind of comes in. But otherwise, I'm not really. It's just not. It hasn't been my go-to for a while. But solid version of it, enjoyable. Like, does kind of make me think like maybe we need a American Beer Review trip to Germany or something like that.
I'm in.
But,
I'm in as soon as it can pay for itself.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I like these styles of beer. I like that it's the more German style. I like that it's not the Americanized a bit more. You have a look there, Chad?
I don't know if this will make the final cut. I'm getting farmhouse style ale vibes off this from the Wayback Machine.
Like almost saison, like
yeah, almost. It's almost got a sour finish. If you're a fan of those, see if I'm wrong.
I think the more it's sat, you can kind of get that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we said, overall, fantastic. That's back to back, really great offerings from Belching Beaver.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it.
No, that's solid.
What
you got?
So when we talk about European beer and those types of things, some places in Europe, they don't need as warm of or as cold of beer. Like a hef, I think you could get away with a hef being not as cooled or chilled as normal.
It definitely lends itself to being a little bit warmer. Yeah.
So there's an article that I saw recently about how people don't like warm beer, unless you're British and you like cask ale and those types of things. So do you know how they're determining whether your beer is warm or not?
Probably by the temperature of the beer.
No, that takes paying attention. I don't know.
For full transparency, I have already read through this.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get the live.
But Alec has not.
No.
Yeah.
There is now nail polish that can help you determine if your beer is cold enough to drink or not.
So I know they have nail polish for detecting whether there's like roofies and stuff in your drink.
That's right.
But now they have nail polish to. Yeah. Aren't the mountains blue?
Oh, it is Coors Light. Sponsored.
That's awesome.
Chill polish is what it is called. So it is a silver-colored nail polish that once applied can turn blue if the beer is cold enough to chill the glass and then your hand. They do note that it does work for all beers, not just Coors.
Right. So the elephant in the room, as soon as I read the article and finished it, I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea.
Did you buy it?
No.
He's wearing
now
it right
you've got sticky beer finger all night.
What?
Yeah,
no.
You have to stick your finger in the beer.
No, you don't. No, it said that basically you hold the can. Okay. You hold the can. Yeah. It makes your finger cold enough that it turns the nail polish the color.
That's ridiculous.
Oh,
it is not a dip your pinky in the beer. I mean, you probably could.
There's some engineer devised this, just rolling their eyeballs. No, that's the.
I mean, but would you? I mean, if somebody.
What if you're in a plastic cup and
would I buy that? No, absolutely not.
You would not buy it. But would you be entertained by seeing it live in the wild?
I wouldn't even notice.
If you found out that someone's like, "Hey, check this out."
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Well,
you can buy a T-shirt that does the same thing when they throw their beer at me for being a creepy guy asking about, hey, can I see your nail polish?
It's still a gimmick. It's just like, remember when they had the wide mouth can? Or remember when they had the
wide mouth can is now
standard.
The standard can,
I guess, but
the vented.
vented.
Yeah.
Or when you had was it Miller? where you pop the extra tab
card key tab. Yeah.
to then vent so it flows
I
better.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and,
They
it's,
knew what we were doing.
I mean,
They weren't stupid.
I forgot about those.
yeah. I remember just trying to like it was not simple to
You had to have the right kind of key.
yes, to pop that tab
be
was
consistently
not.
popping it.
The vent was slightly better. Oh. You can get it for only $7 though. So like, for that beer loving nail polish
What
wearing
color
person in
is
your
it,
life,
though?
it starts silver, it turns to blue.
Yeah, just like the can.
Do I want my wife to have silver nail polish?
The better use for that is, it's cold outside.
Oh, it's like the signs you drive by.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
little like
exactly. And even and the signs go from like a gray
Yeah,
or a silver
yeah.
to a blue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, which was first, the can or the signs on the side of the road?
Oh, the signs for sure.
Yeah, those
Can-
have been in
can-
grocery stores forever.
It's been a joke for a while. All right, last thing we got another beer.
Another beer?
no.
No, God,
Yeah,
no, not
not
this
yet.
episode.
The highest rated
I gotta be
beer
able to
in
walk
every
home,
state.
and I'm in my house.
Highest rated beer in every state?
Highest rated beer in every state.
What-
We're not going to go through all of them.
What
because
is the
there's,
rating? Like, are they using Untapped? Are they using Beer
best
Advocates?
beers?
Are they?
It's like when you go into the. It used to be only like a Total Wine or something. They'd have like the
So
score.
the wine rating.
Yeah,
So but that's from
what
Smith,
this
that's what
site
I'm
is.
saying.
So it's like
Okay, so it's like beer Advocate or something.
So they use Beer Advocates
Yeah.
top rated beers
Okay.
from brewers in each state.
from brewers.
Yeah. In each state in Washington, D.C., in order
Okay.
to be accurate as possible.
And
Only
it's-
beers with over 100 ratings were
Okay.
considered for the state's top spot
And it is one singular beer
per
for
state.
the entire state.
straight up the highest rated
Wow.
beers that have
I mean-
100 reviews.
Okay, so I haven't seen the list. Obviously, like Washington, theoretically,
Okay, well, we'll start with Washington.
would be
see if you can nail the brewery it's made by.
That would be better than
the specific.
the beer because you're never going to get the beer.
Oh wow.
But you're never going to get the beer.
Oh! I think I maybe know
But
this
the-
already. Is it the Bee Bomb from Fremont?
Holy
No
shit! What the fuck, dude? You said you didn't read this.
How the hell
didn't.
did you pull that off?
I didn't. I was gonna go with Fremont Brewing.
It was Fremont
I
Brewing's
was gonna go with Fremont Brewing. It's
Coffee Cinnamon Bee Bomb. is the top rated beer.
Who would have thunk it? The guy who did all the lists
It-
for years would ace his first. Hey, guess what's on the list,
it
guys?
also just released like last week for this year.
All right. So
for
it's
this
kinda-
year, so it is a little bit, but
God damn, I'm impressed. Still.
I am very impressed.
See, but any other state. So, but here's the thing, and this is some of my issue with these types of lists, is it's these specialty knockoff kind of like onesie, twosies of a year type of thing. Like, here's the thing: how many bee bombs have I had in my life? Maybe 2 or 3 because they cost like $25 a bottle. Like, so you're getting that like, and don't get me wrong, it takes a lot to make that beer, but I'm not having a ton of them because it's just like I'm not spending that kind of money every year when it's coming in.
Well, and run through the list. The only one running
That's
through.
not a like specialty something.
There's so many IPAs on this list,
There's so many IPAs.
and they're all
Yes.
and
The only one that I have ever heard of is Pliny the Younger out of Russian River
For California.
Yeah, from California.
So that's a good call. That would.
and that's the
so
only
my
one
guess,
on this list that I've had.
yeah, exactly. And that was the only one. Looking through this list, I'm going through it again.
go to Massachusetts,
Uh,
and I want to guess.
Okay, go
If
ahead.
I can at least get, is it from Treehouse?
it is from Treehouse.
And is it oh shoot, what is it called? Juice something.
Close.
Keep going.
Oh, I can't remember what it is. So because it's
King Julius.
King Julius. That's right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
isn't that the guy from Madagascar? Likes to move.
dude,
Maybe.
I have no idea.
Oh, we'll look at that after.
Yeah, so that one because that's a like a known one. That's one that like people stand in line to try and get. So that like makes me think like,
Kind of like Planet the Younger.
yes, agreed.
It's just
You're gonna go like I'm just trying to think of states where there's been big like things like that. Like Michigan probably would have been a Founders beer. I don't know that it's probably Founders anymore.
It is a Founders beer.
So
It is their Canadian bacon.
the
Canadian
KBS.
breakfast stout.
Yes, I've had that one. So that's a maple syrup stout one, KBS. So they have a CBS. Sorry, they have a
CBS.
Kentucky bourbon breakfast stout.
CBS.
Then they also have a CBS. So that's the mapley version. Yeah. See, this is probably now I kind of want to like I could more figure out probably the breweries that they're from and not always specifically the beer. Like Oregon, closer to home, Idaho, I would have no idea.
No idea, Oregon.
Oregon,
I guarantee you're not going to guess this one.
So Oregon, like one of my initial ones, before you would
We
have said
talked
that,
about it earlier.
I would have guessed like Deschutes
No.
or
No, we talked about the style earlier on this podcast, I think.
we did.
We talked about the style. You're never going to get it.
Is it Pelican Bay
No,
or Pelican Brewing?
No. So this
Okay.
is DeGard Brewing.
Oh, okay.
So it's their farmhouse ale, which is a saison.
Wow. See, and I
Which
at
we
least
talked
appreciate we've got like a variety of stuff. I mean, a few of them. Yeah, I should probably actually read this list and figure this out.
I mean, it's a
but-
pretty interesting list.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that jumped out at me, it felt like 90% of this list was 7% plus.
Oh,
It was
no,
just-
it's all strong.
Like if
well,
you
but
try
that's
to-
what I was saying is they're all like a lot of them are like barrel aged or like those types
Yeah,
of like yeah.
super bougie, like this is a
Yeah.
exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
But that's what it should be.
I was talking trash on them earlier, but Melvin Brewing was Wyoming's number one.
No longer owned
With
by
their
Melvin Brewing.
Tie Me Up
They just sold.
IPA. Did they sell?
Yeah, to another Wyoming brewery.
Well, they're number one.
Roadhouse Brewing, I believe.
Roadhouse.
Yeah, I kind of like that weird Swayze movie from the weird. A lot of people like it.
They're remaking it, I think.
Weird.
No,
That movie's a classic.
That's why I shouldn't have
Me-
said that. No, they talked about remaking it, but they're going to make it with Ronda Rousey as one of the characters, and that thing blew up. Oh no, they are. Is it that one that they're remaking, and now it's got Conor McGregor in it or something like that? I know.
I can't see him going. Pain don't hurt.
Let's just keep finding all sorts of cringy MMA characters to put into these movies and pretend that we're going to make money off of them.
Honestly, I thought after the Expendables brought all the
old school guys
old
back.
school guys back, I thought there was gonna be a renaissance of 80s meathead action movies with all of these churned out UFC, WE stars.
It turns out a lot of them can't act.
Yeah, but you're going for 80s
Oh no,
meathead
like,
action movie.
But haven't you seen the John Wick series?
I know.
It's
I've
basically
I've never seen any of them.
it's
You have
80s.
not seen a John Wick movie?
Not
What?
seen one.
they're awesome, but they're 80s meathead
Yeah.
mindless action movies.
No, they made one with a. I don't think she was with a former MMA fighter. Record the entire movie, and
Ooh,
then
Chad's girlfriend.
Gina Carano,
Yeah.
and then they
Not anymore. We broke up.
and then they
About the
redid
time she got booted off the Mandalorian, we broke up.
they redid
And
all
reconcilable
of
can-
her audio with
No
somebody
joke.
else. It's someone else doing the audio. She
She
is
got Darth
on
Vader?
screen. She is like the whole movie, and it's someone else's voice the entire time.
Ugh.
Yeah. So
Yikes. No, I don't want to sparge the WWE folks. I don't want to lump you in with the UFC meatheads because the WWE folks actually know how to act.
oh, more so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because that's part of the game.
It is. It is.
Like, okay,
We
I
had,
feel like I'm
we,
gonna
had to
go.
lose, we had to lose one fandom of the podcast, so I
Man.
wasn't going to lose.
I kind of want to go
They
now
won't
at
lose
this list and just see how many of these beers we could like order and get, and
Try out.
yeah, it'll take me like what month's salary to acquire every single one
Oh,
of these from all over
absolutely.
the country. So.
Yeah, provided that you can even get them again and they weren't a one-off.
Well, and like that one from Massachusetts, and that's why I knew it was going to be from Treehouse. It's just such a like talked about, like pined after, type
Mhm.
like Pliny. Like it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that is just so known, and so I just knew that was going to be that. So, all right, I'm going to go check out the rest of this list and see how many, like all 2 of them that I've had from this list, and start creating a must-have list. So
Sounds good. And you should check out the rest of our podcasts
Me?
available. You, maybe the listeners.
oh, okay.
And then, again, send us any recommendations. We are open to beers to review. Anything you'd like us to taste or along those lines. Our glasses are, or at least my glass, is empty. I hope yours is too. And we will see you guys in a couple weeks.
I mean, it is what it is nowadays. I mean, I'm still not.
Not jacked about it as a consumer, but I get it from being on the inside, and I do not hold them at fault for it because I would do the exact same thing. Can I retire, take care of my family and my kids' for the rest of their lives by selling out? I
Done.
would do.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah. So
So this thingy, but like it. Amazon. Oh.
no, they're delivering it back.
What happened?
Awkward. Good thing we're casting.
Oh, thank you.
Is that the sex doll?
No. No.
Thank God that wasn't in the middle of podcasting. Though.
Thank God I had to. Thank God we're recording.